What's Myles from Black from TV, talking to Ava DuVernay, director of Origin. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Obviously, it's been a long time coming. The film has been festival route. We're now in theaters. It's not an easy task to make any films, and especially of this nature, taking it from book to screen. How much liberties did you have to make because you can't translate everything that's in a book to a movie.
Yeah, but that's the fun part of an adaptation. You read a book and you decide what's important. You decide what stays and what goes and what to add. And so that was a really joyous part of the writing process. It was a 2-year process. It included the text itself, the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, 2 years of interviews with her, asking her any question that I could imagine and her generously answering. And then my own research and building of a story that was more character driven than the book. And here we are. We were shooting this time last year, and now I'm talking to you about it opening wider in theaters tomorrow.
Now, the question is, you've been a publicist, you're a director, writer, a producer. You know what sells. Not everything can bring an audience, but yet sometimes there are stories out there that need to be told. Why did you feel this story needed to be told?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the material in the book and the thesis of caste being the bedrock of all of our isms, of all of the oppressions and divisions, and that there's this phenomenon that we don't really know about hardly enough that animates all of the isms, the racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, ableism, ageism, anti-Semitism, all of that sits on top of this thing called caste that I had previously just associated with India and had never given thought to it being in a contemporary context and the way it collides against my own life and identity. All that was very fascinating to me. And then also, as someone who has worked in publicity, I know that there is no story that can't be shared, can't be connected to some audience. It may not be, a blockbuster, but there are enough people out there that are interested in issues of justice and dignity and equity and civility that I felt confident that we would be able to find those folks, which we are finding.
You've got Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor playing the lead. Obviously,
Yes.
this is a big role for her on a big screen. Was she your first choice?
Yes, she was. So I was thrilled that we were able to hold hands on this and was able to reunite with her. We had worked together on When They See Us. So I was really, really happy to have a chance to kind of play with her again.
And not only that, you've assembled a team between Niecy Nash and you've got Blair Underwood, you've got Jasmine Cephas Jones. I can name drop them because I think I've seen them, known a lot of them, but to put together an ensemble, it's not always easy because everybody's got to say yes. But to have the roles that they have, whether they're big or small, it's a testament to the commitment that they have and belief that they have in you, in which you're going to treat them well with the role that they have.
Well, I hope so. It was a beautiful, beautiful team of people. Audra McDonald, Blair Underwood, like you said, Jasmine Cephas Jones, John Bernthal, Vera Farmiga, of course, Myles Frost, but definitely Niecy Nash-Betts, this wonderful woman who I'm so overjoyed I got a chance to work with, Emily Yancey, a veteran who I had not worked with before, who plays Isabel Wilkerson's mother, Ruby. So it was a Nick Offerman who came in for a day to do some work with us. So it was a really gorgeous group of people and a little boy named Lennox Sims who plays Al Bright. Today he was just nominated for an Image Award for his role in a youth performance, which makes me so happy. So it was a gorgeous kind of tribe of artists who came together to make this independently and to support the story.
Was Isabel around the set while you were shooting, giving you notes? I know that doesn't usually happen, but it's based on her book, and Anjanue's playing her. How did that dynamic work out?
No, no, she wasn't on the set. She very graciously understood that as a storyteller, the best way for artists to work is freely. So she, gave me the permission to adapt the book, gave me 2 years of interviews where I could ask her any question I wanted, and then said, go do it.
Now, with the projects you've done, is this the biggest one you've done? Obviously, not marketing wise, because there's wrinkle in time, but in terms of the scale, in terms of the research and everything else that has to be involved with this.
I wouldn't say. I think 13th was the most rigorous in terms of research. I think in terms of production scale, Wrinkle in Time was the biggest. Whether it's biggest, whether it's most research, whether it's largest cast was When They See Us. So there were all kinds of benchmarks with the other projects. Longest project was 7 seasons of Queen Sugar. Origin was a collision, a beautiful collision of all of my experience across all the projects. And so I felt very comfortable and very much in pocket in making this film.
What goes into deciding when you want to make a film as opposed to getting behind the scene as an executive producer or producer, but doing a film, because we always want to see the next one.
Yeah, well, it just hits differently. It feels like it's mine. I'm the teller. I'm the one that should deliver it. I'm the person who should be on the front lines of it. Sometimes I look at projects and I say, look, I can support someone else who has a stronger vision than I do, or projects come to me that already have someone who's guiding it, and I just want to support that. On this was a book that I read that had no attachments. There was no one involved. There was no one who was making it into a film. And so in reading it and having an idea about the way that I would take this anthropological thesis, this kind of, feels like an elevated textbook, and make it into an accessible film, my imagination started to come alive with ways to do it. And Isabel Wilkerson was able to give me the opportunity to do it and adapt her work. And off we went.
What did you learn in the process, skill set wise, as a director? Was it a shooting style that you can take on to whatever project you do next?
The only thing, everything that I'd done directorially, I had done in practice before. The only piece of the puzzle was shooting on film. Usually I shoot digitally, and to actually shoot on 16 millimeter Kodak film was a joy. It was a completely different process. It changed my workflow in terms of the length of my takes and the way I usually roll and call action and cut and all of those kind of technical pieces, how long I could stay on a roll, that kind of thing. But overall, that was more of a technical piece of it. Other than that, the directing style didn't change, and was able to apply the way that I do things to the story, and felt that I had a beautiful crew and cast that met me in the place I needed to be.
You just mentioned crew, and I always have to bring up the crew because they don't get as much profile as talent directors and actors do. So I always got to bring up, because I don't want to wait till somebody dies or till they get rewarded with a nomination for all of a sudden everybody start recognizing who they are. But you seem to have some of the same crew from Spencer and Chris. So can you talk about the work that they're bringing in and why you continue to work with them?
Well, I'll start with Willie Burton, who's someone that we don't talk about hardly enough. He is a Black man who handles production sound. I think he's been nominated for the Oscar 6 times or something, and has won a couple of times. I mean, he did 8. There you go. And, I did the sound on Shawshank Redemption. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, this is a giant in our industry that enough of us don't talk about or know his name. And so Willie Burton, who's kind enough, every time I call him, he says, I'm going to come out of retirement for you. Like, Willie, you're not on retirement. You love to work. But such an elegant man, and so important for me to turn to him and be able to say, did we get that, Willie? And he either says yes or no. Whatever he says goes. So he is someone who I've now worked with, I think 3 or 4 times, and such an honor to have him on this. Chris Bowers, the young maestro, as we call him, my composer. I worked with him, I believe the first time was When They See Us, and he also worked with us on a couple of our TV projects, including the Colin Kaepernick project. And working with him on this, I mean, this music is, I believe it's the best he's done across anything. And of course, he's done Bridgerton and Space Jam and Color Purple and all these amazing, big, high-profile projects. But this music is so exquisite, and he's such a joy to work with, just the best guy. Spencer Averick's been my editor on every single thing I've ever edited. If you see directed by Ava DuVernay, you're going to see edited by Spencer Averick. And so on this one, he just went so deep into this process. And it is one of my favorite things to do in the whole world, to edit with Spencer. And then Matt Lloyd, who was my DP. My first time working on a feature with him, an extraordinary experience, the most fun I've had with a DP ever. I learned so much from him. He was so kind, so patient, so understanding, and just has a real propulsive style that I loved. And I did it all with my producing partner, Paul Garnes, out of Array. So it was an addictive, incredible time making this movie.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking about them and letting me say their names.
You know, it's a good thing because I did not know Willie Burton was on this movie.
Yes.
You know, I made a note. You know, he got nominated for an Oscar. Yeah. You know, for Oppenheimer, and no one knew. We were like, ain't nobody black in Oppenheimer. You're like, Willie Burton's on this. You know, you're like, obviously you got to dig deep to see that because he's part of a team, and to know that, like, you know, I saw some of the comments and people didn't know that he had won twice. You know, and so like, and you know, the odds are that he could win again. You know. And so it's great to see guys like that. But just the fact that you bring it on this team, you think about folks like Willie Burton and Ruth Carter, always because they worked on Spike. Some of them worked with Spike for a long time, and he kept giving them work. And sometimes it needs somebody like you to making films to put them on the map so that others can look at their work.
Yes.
You know, everybody's going to get work 1 year here, 1 year there, but to be consistent takes a lot.
It's true. It's true. But yes, so happy for him. And so happy that he continues to answer my calls. So we're gonna rejoice in that for as long as it happens.
You know, but with this film, can anyone read this book and see that you got it? Like, was everything in the book in the movie, or there's some obviously you had to take some stuff out? You know, are they gonna be satisfied?
I hope so. I mean, we didn't call the book the film Origin. I mean, we didn't call the film Caste because it's not the book Caste. It's about the making of the book Caste and the life of the woman as she made it. But the aha moments in the book are in the movie. Most of the people who you ask, what are your favorite parts of the book? Those parts are in the movie. All the places that I underlined in the book, I was like, wow, those are in the movie. But certainly the book is a 500-page anthropological thesis. I mean, everything is not in there. So it's an invitation for people to explore further if they want to and read the book.
What do you take from this? You know, you've seen the marketing, you've seen, you know, whether it's you get an award or not, you don't do it for those reasons. You do it because you want to get it out. You know, anything else is, you know, it's a blessing. But when you do this and it's done, I always say, hey, everything's an albatross till it's out there. You say, you know, till you get it out. Now it's like, okay, I'm sure you have other ideas to what to do next, whether it's a project on TV, whether it's another film. We got to let this play out first. But are you already thinking about what the next step is?
It's so interesting because I purposely didn't put something behind it. And so all through this press tour, since we debuted at Venice in September, I've been telling people, I don't have anything else. I'm leaving it wide open for the first time in my career. You've known me since the beginning. You've known me before I even was making movies, when I was a publicist. And I always keep them stack. I never have any time in between. If I'm in post on one thing, I'm in prep on the next thing. So, but this is the first time that I'm not. So all September, October, November, Wilson, I was like, I don't have a job. I'm not thinking I'm going to take a vacation. Literally, when the movie opened that weekend, I was like, what am I going to do next? Like, I couldn't even have a 2-week break. Like, I'm already, my mind is racing ahead, but I'm trying to keep myself in break mode, give myself a little bit of time, but I do have a few ideas.
You know, it's like a basketball player trying to retire. He goes, I can't just give it up just yet.
No.
Gotta get back out there.
It's bad. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try. You have to encourage me.
No, we don't. You know, you've got, you know, you've reinvented yourself every other time. You know how to get back in. You know, obviously throughout this whole process, we're like, what's Ava doing? You know, there's a lot more pressure on you because you've got a skill set that others don't have. So people put a lot more on you. Like, if it's a director he don't get far, like, all right, they blame the studio. Right. If it's something that doesn't happen, Origin, you know, Ava's got some saying, and she ain't just some director who stays quiet.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do our best every time.
But either way, congrats on your film. Congrats on getting it out. Obviously, people have been loving it. For all those who have seen it, I've seen the responses. I'm always here to support, you know, project from one to the next. So keep it going. We'll talk down the road.
Thank you. Safe travels. Bye-bye.